Soccer Saturday with me, Geordie Pete Redding. In a week of turmoil and upset, we're here as normal with the hope of bringing you a little light relief with our Soccer Saturday show. To the people of Ukraine, we stand with you. This week, the world lost another shining star. Steve Black was well known to the Falcons, British Lions, Newcastle and Sunderland, as well as Wales. He will sadly be missed by all of those he touched with his one in a million personality. Blackie, rest in peace, mate. Today's show is brought to you by the Ultimate in Male Grooming. Don't forget to log on to manscaped.com and use Hollywood Balls as your 20% discount on all things Manscaped. Okay, coming up on today's show, we chat with Robert Taylor, look ahead to the first cup final of the season, preview the big match action, and of course look forward to Baller of the Week, DK Hot Sauce Premier League Prediction Challenge as well. Whew. Welcome, gents. How are we doing?
I'm great, Pete. I can't wait to hear Bob, to hear Rob's chat, mate. I can't wait.
Good stuff. Well, as we said, he's going to be better than us. So, Rob, how are you? Is Rob there? Can he hear us?
I think he's delayed.
Yeah, I can hear you, Just.
Okay, good. How are you? Welcome to Hollywood Balls-Socccer Saturday.
Cheers for the invite.
Good to have you on board. Looking forward to catching up and hearing about this fascinating career of yours. Okay, also on today's show, don't forget, we've got TFC to give away. Up to 50 TFC for 10 lucky winners. Yeah, that's 500 TFC throughout the course of the show. We'll be giving away 10 lucky winners after the show. You know what to do. The rules will be coming up. Watch the show. Head over to the Facebook page, which is Hollywood Balls Live, and get amongst it. Good luck to you all. Great stuff. Now, before we say hi to Rob and welcome him, I've got a couple of shout outs to a few Northeast pals. So big ups to Lee Clark and Islam, Jimmy Gamal for their win last night. 2-1 in the Champions League. Brilliant win for Al Maraik. They beat Al Hilal by 2-1. Also got to say hello to last week's guest, Charlotte Potts, who finally made her not debut, but she was in a friendly behind closed doors, Kev, but she did tell us last week she was looking forward to it. They won 4-1. She came through unscathed. So great stuff for all of our Northeast buds there. Well done. Okay, Rob, starting with you. Who was responsible? Who got you into football? Who started the journey for you?
I started the journey at Leeds United Football Club, a local team. The managers there were, fantastic. Everything towards the young lads and helped to improve our game. I didn't really have anybody as such to push me into football. It just happened. Every kid wants to play, and and it went from there really. Just enjoyed playing the game.
But you just told me off air, though, and I'm sure you've got this the wrong way around, so I've got to double check this. You didn't want to be a footballer. You wanted to be a chef, right?
Not supposed
Am
to
I
tell
right?
you one.
Well, now the world knows.
Yeah. The idea when I was at school and that I liked the cooking because you can take the food when you've cooked, you can eat it as well. That's the only reason why I liked it. So I was on my way home with a little box of food, eating the food on the way home. My mum goes to me, "Where's your food?" I said, "I've ate it all on the way home." So I just ever since then, I just enjoy cooking, and I still enjoy cooking now.
Brilliant.
I didn't think about being a footballer at all, and it just happened really.
So, out of all of those goals, when you were sniffing around the 6-yard box, were you just thinking about, I wonder what I can cook tonight, not about who was next on the score sheet?
I did, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Great stuff. Love it. Kev, speaking of desserts, just desserts for the Arsenal this week for a battling performance.
Yes,
great
Pete.
win. Great win, by
Yes,
the way.
Pete. Listen, let me tell you. Arsenal
That
didn't
time.
start. They didn't start great, did they? They didn't start great. Probably they were a yard off. But one thing we know, Rob will tell you, in football, the game is two halves. It don't matter if you start poorly and you
Sure.
go down. It's how you respond after the break. And let's be honest, after the break, I thought Arsenal were brilliant. They kept grinding, they kept going, kept pushing, changed the system. And the lads who came on, Pepe and Eddie Nketiah, etc., really made a difference. Asked a lot of questions of that Wolves defence, and they got their just rewards. And has anyone seen Ruben Neves, by the way? Because we're still celebrating, Pete.
Yeah. I saw that as well. But I have to say, let's not. Wolves have been going well, really well. So for Arsenal to do that now, I read an interesting article this week about saying, that Arsenal were looking at Man United for fourth and this and that and the other. But Kev, the way it's going and the way Arsenal are grinding it out, Chelsea will be looking over their shoulders as well, right?
Don't you jinx me with your Geordie jinx, mate. I'm telling you, don't you dare. No, Pete, listen. One of the most important things probably happened is in January that didn't happen is Arsenal didn't bring anyone else in.
Yeah.
Manager said, I'm happy to go with what I've got. If we could have got Vlahovic over the line, great. But the fact of the matter is they didn't. Kept the same team together, and they're going to run with it. They're going to run it until it can't run no more. And if it gets them in the top four, absolutely brilliant. But they've got 2 games in hand. If they win those 2 games in hand, Pete, I think they're one or two. They're 1 or 2 points behind Chelsea, with Chelsea to play. So it makes it really, really interesting.
You'd be dusting those passports off all the Arsenal fans. Great stuff. Rob, I wanted to come back to you and say to you that in your career, looking at the stats and the way your career went, you must have a very determined streak in you because you didn't have the easiest of starts. And it took Leyton Orient before you sort of settled into a pattern. Did that just make you more determined to succeed?
I mean, when I was at Norwich and the old YTS scheme at Norwich City at the time, and cleaning the showers out and cleaning up all the dirty kit, and it's disgusting. And then I got a year pro there, but when I was told there was sort of like an argument between like the management staff to see if I was staying on, or they wanted to give me another year's contract and that kind of thing. So they said I was going to leave the club. I thought my life had ended. I thought that was it for me. I thought there was nothing else, no more football. And I was really down the dump. So I can relate to some of these boys now who get released from academies and things like that, who go on the wayside and think about, committing suicide and this kind of thing. And you do go through that in your head and think, oh, do I want to play football anymore? I'm not good enough. And you start doubting yourself. But then obviously Leyton Orient took me down there, and I was there 2 weeks, and they signed me on a 2.5-year deal. And I'm glad they did. I owe them a lot for that to take a gamble on me as such. But they're the ones that sort of helped me get my career back on track.
Yeah, you definitely found some form with them, and that it did pave the way. Looking forward to it because it's a fascinating story as we go throughout the show.
Pete, can I ask Rob? Rob,
sure.
Did you enjoy playing at Leyton Orient? Because I was there on loan, and I absolutely loved it. Did you enjoy Leyton Orient?
Yeah, I did. The fans are brilliant there. We had they turn up every week, whether you win, lose, or draw, whatever, they'll be there. And you always get the same sort of like 6,000-7,000 people turn up and watch the game.
Yeah.
And they had big games. People turn up and they drove to watch it, and it was a nice club, nice to be around.
Yeah, great club. Yeah.
Great stuff. Speaking of one of your old clubs, Rob, we'll come to you in a sec, but I'm going to go to Kev first. Brentford, Newcastle. Now, big game, but for one of the biggest reasons for me, and it's brilliant to see, is Christian Eriksen's expected to make his debut, Kev. Brilliant to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I think, the last visions really we have of him on a football pitch weren't great, was it? Having to be, given the kiss of life, and, during that pandemic stuff, it was terrible. But, he's got himself fit, he's got himself together, and fair play to Brentford for giving him an opportunity to come back and prove himself. And now, if he could make his debut and I think he will get a round of applause from all the fans.
Absolutely.
Home and the tsunami, because
Absolutely.
nobody likes to see a professional go down like he did.
No, not at all. And Rob, he's got a big job on because it's a massive game for Brentford and Newcastle today, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's what it's all about, though, isn't it? These relegation battles. It's that's what the Premiership's about. The title is really close as well. Who's going to win that? It's just amazing stuff. I mean, normally you already know what club's going down already, don't you, by now? But and obviously Man City ran away with it last year and that kind of thing. So it's looking good both ends. But going back to Brentford and Christian Eriksen, I mean, at the end of the day, me personally, I wouldn't want to play anymore. What he went through. So it's got to be fair play to him, for what, thinking about he can come back and play. I'll be too scared to play anymore. You know what I mean? So fair play to him and fair, Kev said fair play to Brentford for giving him that chance to play.
We wish him all the very best. And as Kev says, he'll get a huge, huge round of applause. Let's hope he saves his first real man of the match performance for next week, though, given that he's making his debut against my team today. Okay, Kev, early game. Leeds v Spurs. I mean, could they both get beat?
Pete, well, look, you would probably want Leeds to lose. I want Leeds to win. So it could end up a draw. Pete, this is the problem with both these teams. We've seen Leeds go to like a resurgent Villa and play really well, get a point there, score 3 goals, and look the team. And then we've seen them last week against Man United. First half, they were awful. Then at the start of the second half, they come back, 2 quick goals, and they're buoyant, and then they end up losing the game 4-2. Anything could happen with this Leeds side. But having said that, anything could happen with this Spurs team. We've seen them go to Manchester City and beat City on their own patch, do the double over them. Then they go to Burnley and get duffed in 1-0 by Burnley. It's crazy. So, look, for me, I'd love Leeds to win, but it's one of them, Pete. You throw the dice up in the air, you see what comes down. You just don't know.
Pie in the sky. I mean, Rob, what's your take on Leeds this season? I mean, they haven't disbanded with this gun-ho attitude, have they? But more sides seem to be a little more privy to the way it. But Bielsa, credit or maybe not, but he won't change his way, will he?
No, it looks like a bit of a stubborn manager. I think certain managers have their way, and that's the only way they're going to do it. Sometimes you've got to adapt your team to who you play against, but he seems to don't do that, at the moment. Like they showed clips of the Liverpool game when they played them. I think it was last year or beginning of the season, I think it was, when Matic was getting the ball and running with the ball. He was doing exactly the same in that other game. And they always leave one side of the pitch, open. And they sort of like all come across the pitch to try and close the space down, but they leave that space over there, and that's why he got his goal the other night. And, playing that Salah and get the 1-2. And I think that he's got to try and, try and play the 4-3-3 formation. And I think he's got to go back to, like, say, when we lose the ball, we go 4-5-1. We lose the ball, we get in and make it all tight and don't let anybody play through us. Because at the moment, it's too easy for teams to play through them, which it wasn't. If you watch them, last year in the Premier League, they were brilliant last year. Some of the football they played, and they were together as a team. They don't look like they're together as a team this year.
I tend to agree, Kev.
Do you? The injuries as well. Yeah, of course. But, when you're losing your best players, like a Calvin Phillips, Bamford up top, Rob, you know what it's like. If you're missing your main striker, it is difficult. Then you're missing your main midfielder. It is double difficult because you know what? A lot of those space in midfield, Phillips would clamp down. Having a player up top like Bamford where the ball's going to stick, it makes a massive difference so everybody can move up the pitch together. They just don't have it at the moment. And they've got young players coming in trying to... exactly. Yeah. They've got young players trying to do the top players' job. It's not the same.
It's like when you pass the ball to someone, you give them the ball, the confidence in them, you've got confidence in them as a player. You give them the ball, but now it's like, is the midfield, is the strikers got any confidence in the back four, and it's a big knock-on effect, isn't it, at the moment for them? It's a shame.
Rob, your confidence on your Brentford debut must have been from the get-go. 10 minutes into your debut with a Brentford goal. How settling is that on your debut? Nice feeling.
It was a nice feeling, yeah, because obviously going to Leyton Orient and just starting your career as such there, and then get a move. I think it's for £100 back then was quite a lot of money for a club like Brentford.
It
was. Yeah, scoring the debut, it's always the greatest thing because it makes you settle in a bit better when you get your first goals. You know, Kev can tell you go 3 or 4 games with that goal, and your fans start questioning you whether you're good enough and things like that, and you start questioning yourself. But I don't know whether I scored the goal and about 10 minutes later come off my hamstring, I think.
Doesn't matter.
You've done your job. I'm off.
Yeah, done the job. That's it. So I think I had a bit of a sore hamstring off that one. Yeah, it's like Kev can tell you, when you get your first goal, the confidence in yourself it breathes through you, and you just want to go and score more, and you feel confident the fans believe in you as well. Then that's the biggest thing, is getting the fans on side.
Brilliant. I'd love a debut goal. I think it's fantastic. What a way to start. Kev, speaking of another North against South cracker, the first cup final of the season this weekend. It's Chelsea-Liverpool. A great tie on paper. Chelsea will be up against it because Liverpool look really special currently.
Yeah, I think sometimes football's about timing, Pete. And there's times where earlier on in the season where Chelsea were really playing well, you would think to yourself, this is a great final. I just don't think Chelsea are playing well enough at the moment. Can they win it? Of course they can. They've got world-class players. But Liverpool, to me, look to be the team in the ascendancy right now. And I hate to say it, Pete, but I think they're going to win it. I do. I think Liverpool are going to beat Chelsea tomorrow.
Yeah. Rob, what's your thoughts on this one? It's a massive game, isn't it?
Well, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I want the Reds to win, obviously. Yeah. I think Chelsea have got a hell of great side and everything, but like you said, I think they're struggling at the moment to find their rhythm. And like Liverpool, just the other night against Leeds, they were taking their time and waiting for opportunities and not forcing the ball, and they just look quality all over the pitch, And Mo Salah's is flying at the moment, and with the forward line they've got, I can't see Chelsea winning the game, honestly.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's funny, Kev. I was speaking with an old Newcastle pal, Robbie Elliott, this week, and it was great to catch up with Robbie. And he was telling me that they do a lot of studies in the US, where he is now on German football. And Klopp was the instigator of this, but they call it this heavy metal football, where it's literally it's what they do. They give everything in training. They press. You don't get a minute. Then they're quick themselves, and that's what it's referred to from Bundesliga.
Gegenpress.
Boy,
Liverpool or something.
Yeah, and boy, are Liverpool at it, aren't they?
Well, Pete, they are. Look, one thing they do, they recruit correctly as well. You've seen the recruitment that Liverpool have done. Bringing Jota in was a masterstroke, because what that done, him hitting the ground running, him scoring goals, even when Salah and Mane weren't there for the AFCON, Jota was the one who got them over the line, especially in the semi-final against Arsenal. He was the best player on the pitch, and he had that cutting edge. Now they've got Diaz as well. Harvey Elliott's coming back, who I've got to say, such an impressive young man. After that injury he got at Leeds, the way he's come back and he's come in, he's scored a goal, he's played well. So Jurgen Klopp knows how to recruit for this Liverpool team. They play a certain way, and it's very difficult to play against when they're at it, and they're at it at the moment, Pete.
Absolutely. Rob, speaking of managers, I was dying to ask you this. You had one of your best goal-scoring runs under Tony Pulis. Always fascinated by TP. What was he like as a gaffer?
How long have we got?
Brilliant.
It's hard to explain really, because he's a hard manager to play under. He's very strict on things and everything like that. But he's good at putting an arm around you when you need it. You can see them signs if you're in a bit of a tough time and things like that. But he's like, just he'll let you have it if you're having a bad game, or he'll know how to change things in a game if you're not playing well. And they always say he's a long ball manager, but he did want us to try and play. to try and play, you have to have the players to play football. And we were hard to beat. You just got a team together that are very close together. You know, if you're close as a team, you go out there on Saturday and you've got good camaraderie with each other. You know, we're all mates on the pitch. You know, and he's got the best out of you. It's just one of the things that he's just a manager you want to play for him because he's a character. He's a good character and he's a good coach as well. But he helped me through He used to bring me and Carlos Saba in an hour before the other players come in. It was so funny. He would come in at 10 o'clock and we'll do some finishing on the pitch. And Vince Bartram would be in goal. And then the other boys would come in about 10 to 11 to train at 11. Me and Carl would walk off the pitch at 11, get showered, get in the cars and go home. And the boys are there doing pattern of play and that, things without us, till about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You know, it's just so funny. Things like that he used to do. And the boys just would say, that's not fair, that is fair, you go home early. I was home by half 11 nearly every day, you know, after we'd done some finishing drills. And the boys, we used to ring them up and their phones wouldn't even answer. And we used to ring up.
They're still out. They're still training.
We're still here till 4 o'clock. What are you doing? I said, well, I've had my lunch. I've had a little pip in the afternoon. I'm going. And they used to call themselves the Eggers. That's what they used to call them. And Tony used to call them the Eggers, and us was the cream of the crop. That's what he used to call it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Love the tales. I've got to say a quick hi to Thomason, one of our regular viewers. He said he nearly missed the start because of running around. Welcome. We'll give you a yellow card. You know the times, Thomason, so don't be late on parade next week. Okay, Kev. Man United never out of the headlines, of course, and we touch on them most weeks. But credit where credit's due, because I want to give them a positive this week. Really impressed by the young man that is Anthony Elanga. Are you?
Yeah, I am. I've got to say, Pete, it could have gone a little bit pear-shaped for this young man after he missed that penalty. In the shootout, he got some obviously bad stuff on social media. And, you know, for a young man who's trying to make his way, that could have really affected him. But, you know, he's made a stern stuff, this young man. He's come back. He scored in the week at Atletico, didn't he? And then he scored against Leeds at the weekend. So I think he's got a huge future. I'm sure there'll be a new contract coming somewhere along the line, because if they don't sign him up, somebody else will be looking at him. Very impressive young man.
I wanted to ask you both, either or, the first one to the buzzer, really. When you read the story as a fan that reads the story about he's about to choose, or Southgate has to move quickly because there's talk of him playing for possibly Sweden as well as England. How does that work as a player when you know, is it literally, do you have to wait, or is he in the driving seat? Does he get to choose? Or if Southgate comes first, it's up to who sells it?
No, it's
to
the
him,
player.
It's
the player, Pete. Yeah, it's the player. Yeah, of course, you could imagine Southgate will speak to him and want to recruit him, and Sweden will. And then it's just a matter of him and his family sit down and work out which way they go. I think we saw the same thing with Declan Rice. Could you remember? Declan Rice could have played for Ireland or England. And he had to make that decision, and he chose England. So, you know, Ilanga's got the same decision to make.
I'm going to touch on that. We've got a story later on in the show about something very similar. So I find it fascinating. Okay, Rob, the question I've been dying to ask about you, because it is a bit of a poignant show this week with everything that's going on in the world. You've done more than your bit, by the way, which is fascinating to listen to you. But could you tell us about your involvement with the Rigby Football Club?
Yeah, it all came about last June. I got a phone call from Dan Ferguson, and he asked me, the question is, what are my thoughts on having a Rigby Football Club? You know, for obviously under the name of Rigby, and I said, well, great idea. He said, oh, brilliant. I said, I want you to be manager of the football club. I went, I don't think it's a good idea now. But I just said yes straight away, because, you know, what happened to Lee was horrendous, you know, how he got killed. And, you know, it's been with the boys at the weekend. We played up in Glasgow the weekend, and it was just like the boys were just so welcoming. They were, it's the first time I met the lads, only through chats and things like that. It was the first time I met them, and you know, you can see that they're regimented. You can see they've been, just how they conduct themselves is just spot on. They've got respect for you, got respect for all the other players in the dressing rooms and things like that. And that's you don't see that in professional football clubs, that kind of thing. Kev can tell you in dressing rooms, there's always a bit of bitchiness going on with certain players, and there's a group broke away from the main group and this kind of thing. And them boys are just in it together. And you can see if I was in a trench with them firing bullets, I know they'll be there for me, try and shoot back for me. And it's just amazing to be involved in it. And now we're a proper football club now. We don't know where it's going to go. We're supposed to be going to Gibraltar, Benidorm to play. Kev will like that one. We're going to Australia. We're going to New York as well. So all these things we've got to try and fit into play the other teams that want to play us.
It's a great cause.
You weren't joking. He really is busy.
No, it's a great. It's a great
Brilliant.
cause. It's a great cause, isn't it? Absolute fantastic cause.
I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing being involved in it. It's just great.
Good stuff. Kev, Ronnie's in the house and he's got a question for you, has our Ronnie in Norway. When you speak of penalty misses, how much do you think Saka's miss in the Euros has affected his season, good or bad? I've got my opinion on that one.
I don't think it has. I think
No.
I think Saka has played his part for Arsenal this season. Look, as a footballer, these are the times that determine whether you're going to be a top player or not. If a penalty miss in the Euros is going to affect you all this season, then you're not going to make it to the top. And I think Saka's is produced. Look what Arsenal are doing this season. I think the only one probably who's performing better than Saka is Declan Rice out of that England squad. So I think Saka. Look, he's 20 years old. He's a young kid, but he's definitely can deal with the pressure. He's got a big future. He's got a big talent, and we're so pleased to have him at Arsenal.
But while we're on about the Arsenal, Kev, Thomason wants to know, how you felt after the Lacazette goal in midweek with the Wolves. Well, if you were there on time, Kev would have told you at the start of the show.
Because Pete, I went absolutely mad. Thomason, I absolutely loved it. Let me tell you, because Wolves were time wasting from the first minute until the end, but it came up to bite them. So I was really pleased, Thomason. I was delighted.
Good stuff. Rob, you mentioned there about managing. I've got to ask you because it's fascinating for me that all of the players that do journey into that side. What do you find is the biggest difference between being a manager and being a player, apart from obviously the players' camaraderie? But is there something in particular that you think, wow, that I didn't realize that was going to be such an issue when I was a manager?
I mean, managing local teams run this way, amateur football, it's hard because some levels you pay players, some levels you don't. So it's when you're paying players, you can actually have a little bit of a go at players for not performing. But when they only turn up to play because they enjoy it, you can't have a go at them for losing games, because it's one of them, you've got to try and put the money behind you as such and say, look, they're not getting paid. You can't have a dig at them. They're doing it because they love it. They love playing football on a Saturday. If you're paying them like 50, 60 quid a week or whatever a game, you can have a little bit of a dig at them because you're paying them the money. And it's hard to try and get yourself, when you've been used to doing like teams with money, it's hard then to realise and change the way you talk to players. I'm getting paid the money who just turn up because they love playing football. It's really hard, and it's you try and help them out with your how you used to play and things like that. You just try and bring the confidence in the team and in players, and certain players you can work with and make them better players, and other players won't ever get to that stage of getting better because that's all they've got, and that's really hard to try and get to make them better players. But it's really difficult because being a player, you're told what to do, and now you've got to try and tell these players what to do, and it's hard to get across sometimes what you want from them. And
I can imagine.
Some players understand, and some players I ain't got a clue what I'm doing, and that's just the mentality of the people you're dealing with sometimes.
Brilliant stuff. Kev, I did say that, and this next one's for our Nigerian fans, speaking of picking an international team for yourself. So, ex-England international, Ashley Plumtree of Leicester, your old club, she's decided to pledge her international career to the Super Eagles. Due to her grandfather's heritage, searching, she went on the Ancestry.com, which is huge. People doing it everywhere. And she's went all the way back, and now she's pledged her future to Nigeria, and she's definitely wanting to get on the show for us, I think, so all the Nigerian fans can listen to her tale. But fair play.
Pete, sometimes the legacy and the history of people means so much to them and their family. So to be able to do that and choose Nigeria, I think is, fair play to the young lady. And hey, what a colourful country to play for. I mean, you've seen the celebration, the way they play the football, the way they love their games and stuff like that. So, hey, and it's a good side as well. She's choosing a good side. Nigeria, serious.
Great. As she said as well, it raised a few eyebrows at first, and she said, "Oh, I'm not bothered." She said, "This is my heritage. I love my football. What could be better?" So we'll try and reach out to Ashley and get her on the show, because that'll be one for all of us. We've got so many Nigerian fans as well, and we look forward to that. Good stuff. Okay, it's time for our Hollywood Baller of the Week. Kev, we're going to go with you now. Fascinating week on and off the pitch, so can't wait to hear who you've got for us. Who's Kev's Baller of the Week?
Well, I'm not gonna say who Rob's gonna say, because I think I know who Rob's gonna say. Look, I'm gonna go with my hometown, with my home club. I've got to say, it was a cameo performance, but he came on and changed the game. It's Nicola Pepe for me. He came on in that big game against Wolves. He came on, scored the first goal with help from Eddie Nketiah, and then put the second one on a plate for Lacazette to go through, and the ball ends up in the back of the net, and we win the game 2-1. So I know there's other players who other people might think, but for me, Nicola Pepe is my Baller of the Week.
Brilliant stuff. Rob, have you got a bowler for us on your debut show, Hollywood Balls?
Oh, I might have a baller, yeah. It's got to be the Egyptian king for me. It's got to be him, Mo Salah. I mean, he's the best player in the world at the moment. I think you might agree on that one. But he's just gone from one extreme to another, isn't he? Over the last few years at Liverpool, he's got better and better. And he's my Baller of the Week.
Great stuff. I've got one for you this week, and it goes to my pal who's joined his hometown club. He's looked absolutely unbeatable at the back. Long may it continue. That goes to Big Dan Byrne, the Blythe Baresi, as they've nicknamed him at the Gallagher end.
Love it, Pete.
Brilliant stuff. Big Dan, carry on your good work. We had, funnily enough, Kev, we had John Richardson was on the Newcastle podcast this week, and he said to me, I can't remember the last time I felt reasonably comfortable having such a powerhouse at the back, not just due to his height, Kev, but also he's very deceptive, very swift, and
he reads the game very well as well. Yeah, he's a good player, Pete. He's a good player.
So Big Dan Byrne is my Baller of the Week. There you go. I have few and far between, but when they come, they are great. It was good. I do have a runner-up, because our designer, who does so much work for us on Hollywood Balls, Kev, Big Dave Spurs, his cat Santiago went missing about 2 weeks ago. It has had everyone ill. Well, Santi wandered back into Dave's life at the weekend. There were celebrations, and of course he's named Santiago after Santi from Goal, the film where he signed for the Toon. So Big Dave Spurs as well, and Santiago are reunited. So great story to end the week on. Okay, from one great story to another, let me just pop it up. Here we go. It's time for the DK Hot Sauce Premier League predictions. Rob making his debut as well. Looking forward to this one. Last week's winner was yours truly with 5 points. Good effort from myself.
Well done, Pete. Well done, Pete. Yep. You've done well last
Charlotte
week.
We're not far behind.
We're one behind, I think, weren't we? We're just 1 point behind you. But
so this week, in the house this week, we've got Ian, Samantha, Lee Cosgrove is back, Scotty, and Danny Kwang as well. Lots of others have all entered, but can't get you all in. But keep them coming in because we do top them all up. Guests first as always. So Rob, Leeds Spurs score prediction for you.
Oh, I'll go draw on that one. 1-1.
Give us a score.
1-1.
Okay. Super Kev.
Oh, God.
Amazing.
Look, I think they're going to win, but I can't. I'm not going to choose them. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay,
Leeds
Desmond.
2, Spurs 2. Desmond 2-2.
Okay, I've got Spurs for a 2-1 win. Fingers crossed. Ian, it's nice to have you back. Ian Sanders, he's gone 3-1 to Spurs. Samantha's taken 3-0 to Spurs. Lee Cosgrove's taken 2-1 to Spurs. Scotty Shep has taken 3-2 to Spurs, and Danny Kwang has taken 2-1 to Spurs. A clean sweep. So Leeds fans, what do you think? Okay, back up to the top. Euro club, Rob. It's Brentford against Newcastle. Don't forget, I've got the mute button.
I'm going to go 1-1 with that as well. Definitely a draw.
Okay. Kev?
Brentford have been struggling, Pete. They really have been struggling. They need a win. Newcastle are on the up. They need a win as well. Rob might be right, with a 1-1. But I'm going to shade the tune. I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay. I'm with Rob, actually. I think that Brentford will be desperate for points at home. Yeah. Newcastle look a little bit more resilient, but I can see a draw. So I've got ones each. Ian's taken 1-0 to Brentford. Sam's taken 2-0 to the Toon. Lee's taken 2s apiece. 0-0 for Scotty and 2-0 to the Toon for Danny Kwang. Okay, Rob. Man United and Watford.
Oh, cool. I'll go 2-0 United.
2-0 United, yeah. Kev?
I've got the same here, Pete, 2-0.
Okay, good stuff. I've gone one better. I've gone 3-0. Ian's gone 3-1 to Man United. Samantha's taken a 1-1 draw. Lee's taken 2-0 to his beloved Red Devils. 2-0 for Scotty for Man United and 2-1 for Danny Kwang to Man United. Honorary mention to Martin Craig of Manchester City, who's taken, let me read this out, Manchester United 0, Watford 4. Brilliant.
I tell you what, if it's that score, mate, I tell you, whoa.
Okay, back up to the top with you, Rob. Everton, Man City.
Man City 3-1.
Okay, Kev, your old side.
Yeah, I think it's going to be look, Man City got beat by Spurs last week, and they always tend to bounce back.
Yeah.
Everton got beat at Southampton. They're at home. I'd like to think it's going to be a tighter game, but I think City are going to shade it, Pete. I'm going to go 3-2 City.
Oh, goals galore. Good stuff. I've gone 2-0 to Man City. So has Ian. Samantha's taken 3-1 to City. Lee's taken 2-1 to Everton. in a reverse of Martin.
Of course. He would say that, Lee.
I've got to say, having been out with these two are best friends, both Lee and Martin. Let's have this out now. They're both from Middleton in Manchester. One's City, one's United. Two of the nicest guys you could never wish to meet. But put them on about football, my lord, unbelievable. Okay, so yeah. Everton, Man City. Scotty's got 3-0 to City as well, and Danny Kwang. Last up for the day, it's the cup final, Rob, and it's Chelsea-Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 to Liverpool. Super Kev?
I've got the same. I've got 2-1.
Okay, I've gone, again, one more than you boys, and I've got 3-1 to Liverpool. Ian's gone 1-0 Chelsea. Samantha's gone 1-0 to Liverpool. Scotty's gone 1-0 to Chelsea. And Danny Kwang has taken 3-1 to Liverpool, his beloved Liverpool as well. Okay, great stuff. that's just about it. All that remains for me is to remind you guys straight after this, get over to the Facebook page. Just going to pop it up there now for you, and get onto the competition, whereby you could be the top 10 are going to win 50 TFC, by the way. That's what Geordie Pete's given away. Don't say I don't give you anything. 50 TFC for you guys, the first 10. Fola is in charge over on the Facebook page. Her word is final. All the best. Great stuff. Listen, Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We'll ask that you come back on again soon and join us. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thanks very much for the invite.
Great stuff.
Nice
great
one.
stuff.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.
Yeah.
Kev, what have you got on this weekend?
Cheers. Yeah, I'm as soon as I get off here, I'm off. I'm going to change, put my whistle on, and I'm down to the smoke to do the Everton v Man City game. There you go. Back
camera
home.
one and camera two.
I'm going home.
Good stuff. We're going to let you catch that train. Join us again next week on Soccer Saturday, where Kev and I will have a big announcement because we're moving home, aren't we, Kev?
Yes, we're moving home. We're going home, Pete. We're going home, mate.
We're going home. But more news about that during the week. From me, Geordie Pete Redding, thanks very much. And we'll see you next